welcome and introductions. So my name is Carol Paul. I'm the chair of the Trinity County Fire Safe Council and the assistant chief of the Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department. So we'll go around the conference room first, and then we'll get the Zoom attendees. So
Kelly Sheen, I'm the district manager for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Amelia Flights, I'm the Trinity County Fire Safe Council coordinator and the watershed program manager for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Chris Cole, I'm the Forest Health Program Manager for the Trinity County RCD.
Glenn Tingley, U.S. Forest Service Division Chief on the Trinity River Management Unit.
I'm Keith Roars with the Hayfork Ranger District, and I'm the fuels officer over there.
Chris Woodman, Forest Service Fuels out of Weaverville.
And I'm Elliot Grew, I'm the fuels technician on the South Fork Management Unit with Forest Service.
cool, thank you. So let's see, for the Zoom folks, I'm going to start with Erin, and then Erin, when you're finished introducing yourself, go ahead and pick somebody else on the Zoom.
Great, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Erin Banwell, and I'm the co-director of fire management for the Watershed Research and Training Center, and I'll pass it over to Charlie.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlie Holthouse, community member, neighborhood ambassador for the Rush Creek area.
Jerry?
Hi, everybody. Jerry Cousins, collaborative member, and I'll pass it over to Xander.
Hi, I'm Xander Winter, the forester at the Watershed Center. Blaze.
Hi, I'm Bruce Shannon, and I am here in my capacity as a liaison for the Lower Trinity River Prescribed Burn Association, and I will pass it to Gina.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Gina Moon here. I am with Willow Creek Fire Safe Council today. Thank you.
Pass it to Regina. Pass it. Sorry. All right.
How about Larry Glass?
Thank you.
Hi, Larry Glass from South Fork Mountain, and I represent Safe Alternatives for Forest Environment. I will send it to G. Dunn.
Everyone, Garrett Dunn with the Reading BLM, Fuels Modulator, kind of covering for Rob Winkler. I'll pass it to Deborah Harris.
Good afternoon. Deborah Harris, Burn Program Coordinator for the North Coast Unified Air Quality Management District. So happy to be here and see everyone. I will pass it on to Dave DeLange.
Hey everyone, Dave DeLange, Trinity PUD.
Right. How about Nancy?
Hi, Nancy Anderson, the Lewiston Neighborhood Ambassador. And I can't see the list of who's on Zoom, so
okay,
pick for me.
We'll go to Mike Wilson.
Hi, everybody. Mike Wilson, California Fire Safe Council, your Northern California Regional Coordinator. And I'm not sure who hasn't gone yet, so I'm going to go with Rick. I don't think you've gone yet.
I have not. Hi, folks. This is Rick Weiler, Trinity County Supervisor-elect. And about Charlie.
Yeah, I think we've done Charlie. So I think Patricia.
Hi, this is Trish Watson from the American Red Cross. I'm here with Andrew Bogar, the Program Manager for Humboldt, Bill Norton, and Trinity counties.
Okay, so I think we've done everyone on Zoom. So I want to turn it over to Jill.
Jill Cox, Trinity County Board of Supervisors.
Okay, is there anybody that we've missed as far as an attendee?
I don't think we missed anybody. I just didn't get Patricia. What organization are you with?
American Red Cross for Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity counties.
Thank you.
And my name's Ellen McGehee, and I'm a fire operations specialist for the Watershed Center.
Great, thanks, Ellen. All right, so do we have any additions or changes to the agenda?
We have one addition to add into the discussion. If the Fire Safe Council has any comments that they want to send as part of the U.S. Forest Service seeking comment on their wildfire crisis strategy.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and add that to the agenda unless we have any questions, concerns right now. Okay, so we have a presentation by Aaron, the Water Resource Research and Training Center. Aaron, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, let me take a moment to share my screen. And just so I know for the folks that are all together, do you have a screen that you're able to see a PowerPoint on?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let me just get my end set up here. Oops. Okay, did I lose that PowerPoint? Hold on, sorry. Oops. Okay, can everybody see that beautiful picture of a black line operation?
Yep.
Okay, great. So hi everyone again. My name is Erin Banwell, and today I'm here to present on prescribed burn associations. So I'm first going to introduce the Watershed Research and Training Center's fire program staff, kind of explain what our roles are and what jobs we do, define what a prescribed burn association is, and then talk about the potential for Trinity County. So this is a picture just recently from 2 or 3 weeks ago. All of the prescribed burn association leaders across California came together for a meeting in Santa Barbara, and we had a burn on the last day where we taught folks how to do black lining operations. And there's that could be a whole nother presentation in and of itself, but I'm trying to give some context with these awesome pictures as part of the presentation. So like I said, my name's Erin, and then Miller Bailey is the other co-director of fire management. We are also partners and have a son, Alder, that comes everywhere with us. And my background is really heavily focused in prescribed fire and fire ecology. I'm the total nerd of the group. I also have a strong fire suppression background as well. And then Miller Bailey led type 2 initial attack crews and was on hotshot crews for a long time. We both are total prescribed fire lovers, and we love training and continuing to be students of fire. So we both direct the fire management program at the Watershed Center. And that was actually a picture in the Weaver Basin from last year from one of the burns we did. And then we have just an amazing staff. So we have Andrea and Jose, who are in the upper left and right hand here. They're our prescribed fire training specialists. So Andrea comes from Ecuador. She has a huge background in community organizing and geography, ecosystem health, and she's also a lover of prescribed fire. And then we have Jose Luis Duce that we're super lucky to have on staff. He's from Spain. He's a global fire practitioner. He's the one that started an international prescribed fire treks movement, and we call him our force multiplier. And then we have Ellen and Quaylen, who are our local Trinity County prescribed fire operations specialists. And they both have an amazing amount of knowledge, both place-based and nature-based, community organization, and are also on the nerdier side of things as well. So we just have like a really awesome diverse team, and I'll continue in this presentation to describe the jobs and the differences in who we are and what we have to offer, because we all do kind of different things for the Watershed Center related to prescribed fire. This is a photo from Butte County at a Prescribed Burn Association burn last December. And we have the landowner in the checkered black and red and her grandson, and they were both out helping and burning. And we had just an amazing, for the drought that we're in, it gave us an amazing winter burn window for over 60 days this year. So one of Miller and I's main roles is building statewide capacity when it comes to prescribed fire, especially focused on community-based burning and private land burning. So we travel the state, we do community mentoring and advising, we help with workforce development, we help organizations develop wildfire and prescribed fire workforces. We're both qualified to teach NWCG or National Wildfire Coordinating Group classes. So we have a heavy training program that we do, and we host workshops. We teach landowners how to write burn plans, and we help people actually implement burns and train people with fire. And we also do prescribed burn association coaching. So that is also what Jose and Andrea are focused on, is the statewide capacity building. And so just to give you some context, if anybody hasn't heard of a prescribed burn association before, the actually started in the Great Plains of the United States, where landowners all come together, and within 2-week period of time, they all burn together, and they're burning cross boundaries, and the fire just continues. And in some states, it's actually not even the person who lights the fire's responsibility to keep it on their property, but the other landowner to keep it off their property. Very interesting, different laws across the nation when it comes to prescribed fire. But it's essentially a neighbors helping neighbors model. It's a grassroots workforce model. It's mostly volunteer-based. So landowners and other concerned residents, who are often volunteers, form partnerships. They pool together their knowledge, personnel power, and equipment, and then they plan and implement prescribed burns on private lands. So again, this is another photo of that burn I was talking about in Butte County, and we have a Tehama County RCD employee, a PhD student, the grandson, and a neighbor all doing some unit prep before we burn that day. So you can kind of see the diversity of folks that end up coming to these prescribed burn association burns. We see a lot of, it looks different across the state, this model, based on where folks are at. A lot of places have prescribed burn associations being run by the resource conservation districts in the area. Other places, fire safe councils are kind of leading the effort. And in some places, it's totally just a private citizen leading the effort. But at the end of the day, there's usually some sort of organizational structure where you, as you all know, in a fire safe council, you have to have a leader and an organizer or things don't happen, right? And I think that's where that ambassador program comes in too. So it's the same with the prescribed burn associations. So this is a map that's already become outdated. We update it about every 6 months, but it just shows county by county. Blue is where there are active burning prescribed burn associations. Yellow, they're just having conversations, and orange, they're actually in formation. So a lot of these yellow areas are already turned blue. San Diego is already turned orange. So I'll get an updated map together, but this kind of just shows you over the past even 3 years how it started in Humboldt County and has spread across the state. So this is just like people taking action and starting to burn on their own lands together. So the coordination structure really looks like Lania Quinn Davidson. For those of you who know her, she works for the University of California Cooperative Extension out of Humboldt Del Norte. And she started the PBA movement in California. She brought that model from the Great Plains to California, to Humboldt County. And her colleague Jeff have really gotten that momentum rolling. So we also have a website, which I'll link to at the end of this presentation. And we have a Podio page, which is basically just kind of like a social network page with all the prescribed burn association leaders, and they share resources and ask questions. It's just a good place where we have a network base. And then below that, statewide overall PBA management, we have the coaches, who are myself, Miller, Jose, and Andrea. And like I said, a lot of these folks, you know, don't even have any prescribed burn experience. And that's where we come in and we help train and coach folks on how to safely conduct prescribed fires. We've also been funding peer mentors. So there's some PBAs that are super successful and have been burning for a while now. Some of our folks in Plumas County, for example, and they also help out other PBAs with coaching and mentoring. And then, as I mentioned, you really have to have that community organizer or leader. And then we have the PBA mentors. So that's kind of how it's structured right now. I'm not going to spend too long on this graphic, but this is everything going into what we think an effective PBA is. So we have an effective PBA that's getting direct PBA coaching for technical assistant needs. They are then, after they get enough experience, becoming peer mentors. So it comes full circle because there's never going to be a moment in time where we don't have new PBAs popping up. And then folks are coming in from adjacent geographical areas and learning from folks, participating in training, burns, and then bringing that idea back to them. So actually this map, if we had like a graphic of it growing over time, it's really a spider web. So, you know, because of Butte County, or because of Plumas County, Butte County started, and now Lassen and Shasta are excited. So it's just like the spider web that grows from areas that have success. And then Miller and I and Jose and Andrea host California prescribed fire training exchanges in partnership with PBAs that are already building momentum and have a lot of partnerships. And it's just a way to build a lot of capacity quickly. So I want to first describe what we already have going on in Trinity County to give you some context, and then talk about the future potentials in Trinity County. But the reason why Trinity County is blue on the map from the get-go was because we have the Trinity Integrated Fire Management Partnership, and that is led by the Watershed Center. It's multiple organizations and agencies, cross-boundary work, but it's all grant-based. So we have the Watershed Center, TCRCD, many volunteer fire departments, the Forest Service and CAL FIRE, all in a partnership. And we burn on private lands. We help Forest Service with Forest Service burns. And then we also do cross-boundary private and Forest Service burning. But at the end of the day, there are limitations to this partnership because it is grant-based. So that in itself takes a long time. It's a multi-year process. We can't just like add a landowner quickly. And it's not focused on like grassroots volunteer-based, although we do take volunteers on our burns. So it's just a different model that's not a true PBA in the sense of a grassroots movement. Then we have the Lower Trinity River PBA that is on the far west side. And just recently in the past year, Ellen and Quaylen have helped start the Hyampom PBA, and they are active and have already burned together. So there's a lot of interest in the Hyampom area, and they're a good example to go off of for what other communities can do within Trinity County. So the other thing that's currently happening or slowly becoming underway is the Watershed Center is receiving some emergency relief funding from the Shasta Trinity National Forest. And a lot of that effort is going to focus in on community resilience and planning, which this is all like full circle and spider webby as well, will totally integrate in with PBA development at the community level. So we're really excited about that opportunity to be planning directly with communities on their vision of what community resilience is to wildfire and how to incorporate prescribed fire into that vision. And then so in Trinity County, I mean, I put up this map, but you all know all of how big it is, one, and then how many communities are within Trinity County. So this is a good example of a county where it doesn't make sense to have one PBA for the entire county. But what we're seeing really successful in other areas is what we're calling micro PBAs, or like an umbrella PBA that's then having like communities or micro PBAs underneath that umbrella PBA. And the opportunities are just endless. I mean, we get requests from Hayfork and Junction City and Lewiston, Deer Lake Springs, Coffee Creek, Trinity Center, all these areas that landowners are interested in burning. and they just need some support, but our Trinity Integrated Fire Management Partnership is grant-based. So we got to like switch some of that community interest into this PBA world. So the need is we need community leaders in order to coordinate PBA efforts. And these leaders do not have to be prescribed fire experts. They just need to have good organizational skills and be integrated into the community to build momentum. And then that's where the Watershed Center comes in, myself, Miller, Jose, and Andrea, who can really provide that deep mentorship and trainings for the communities. And the lucky thing about Trinity County is that our work takes us statewide, and we are totally booked constantly. The need is just so great, but all 4 of the PBA coaches live right here in Weaverville, and we actually are neighbors. So you have the benefit of having the coaches living locally. So we have a lot more flexibility for hosting trainings and coming out to burns and just like being a lot more integrated at the community level than we can be with these areas that we actually have to travel to. So with that, I just want to move back into, I can share this PowerPoint out too, if you all want to email it around, but the Cal PBA website is pretty awesome. It has a lot of resources. It shows you the different PBAs across the state. And then Sarah Bohannon with North State Public Radio just published a Fire Returned series that really highlights the Butte County PBA efforts. There's 3 different 7-minute radio broadcasts, and she also did write-ups for it, but it really dives deep into PBAs. And I think that if you're looking for more information than I can give you in this quick presentation, that would be a really good resource. And then our email is in the bottom right-hand corner that goes directly to myself and Miller, just firemanagement@thewatershedcenter.com, the longest email in the history of emails. But yeah, so I would just encourage folks who are interested or know of folks to contact those community organizers. And yeah, what we normally do, what we did for High Palm at least, is we knew High Palm was interested. So we went and had a 1-day meeting in High Palm to basically describe PBAs, the ins and outs, the permitting processes, like just high level what to expect and what's needed to move forward. And then from there, they kind of took that and started the organization of building a PBA. So that's what we would be looking to do in other communities. We're super open to having meetings and just helping coach to get this started. Because when we see Trinity County, we see nothing but potential for utilizing this prescribed burn association model. And then my last slide is just my favorite is our motto is fire is for everyone. It's not just for fire professionals. People can safely find burn windows to be burning in their backyards to protect their homes. The burn in the upper left-hand corner with those 2 kiddos and their mom was actually in Greenville, California, the spring of the Dixie Fire, and his house was saved because we burned around it right before the Dixie Fire. So it's a super interesting story, and there's been a lot of media around it, but it just goes to show that even a 3-acre burn is meaningful. It's not just about big acreage, but it's about strategic place-based prescribed fire. And with that, I will pause and see if there's any questions, but I really appreciate everybody's time and the opportunity to present this to you all. We're really passionate about it.
Thanks, Erin. Okay, so anybody have, what kind of questions do you guys have?
This is Deborah from North Coast. I'm just curious, not having been out on a burn that does fire line. I talked to people who do it, but I noticed that it was quite wide. Is that a normal fire line width, or is there a standardized, or is it dependent upon terrain?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's totally dependent on conditions, on fuel type, on expected fire behavior. There's no one size fits all.
Okay, that makes sense. It just, I always like to learn, and everybody's kind enough to put up with my questions. My can't say enough good about the Trinity County program over there. I do point it out to folks on the state calls as a very robust and community involved program. And everybody from the government agencies down to the Fire Safe Council and private property owners, you guys are awesome over there. That's just my opinion.
Thanks, Deb. Yeah, we're really lucky here. We have a great CAL FIRE unit in support, and we have a great air quality management district. So those two things are just huge enabling conditions for prescribed fire in the state. It's not like that everywhere, so we feel really lucky.
You're right about that. It is not, but it can be held up as a program or an effort by the community as a success.
Absolutely.
Because there's not a lot of trust out there, and the fact that you all can get projects done and make the progress that you do is a very good success story to point out whenever possible, and I do. So I'm
Nice,
really
yeah.
I'm really respectful of everybody involved, and more power to you. I use you as an example for everybody else that, you know, is slow to come to the table. Because if it can be done over there, it can be done anywhere.
Yeah, that's great, Deb. Thanks for that feedback. And I think one thing I missed in my presentation is that Jose, Andrea, Miller, and I are fully funded through the Regional Forestry and Fire Capacity Program, at least for the next 2 years, to be doing the statewide PBA work. So we do all our trainings and workshops for free. We're fully funded. We just come in and help where it's needed. So I forgot to kind of plug that. It's basically almost our full-time job.
So Erin, is there a possibility of, I know that you guys did the burning at the Weaverville Community Forest, but is there a way to pick sites where you could do demonstration burnings and really invite just the general public to come watch, just so they can get more comfortable with the concept?
Yeah, absolutely. We have burns planned every season, so fall, winter, and spring, and it's just a matter of having more coordination with you all so you can put those contacts out. And I think that's a big part that Ellen and Quaylen can play now. They are new to the position as of this year, and it's just nice to have that local focused capacity. So we're still there supporting on implementation day, but they would be the contacts to be able to spread the word on different burns that the public can come out to, and then like how many people we can have at each burn.
Yeah, because I mean, right now the notifications basically just, if you see smoke, it's okay because it's a prescribed fire.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that people know that they can come, see or even volunteer. So somehow that next step would be, I think, helpful to kind of get more people on board.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I had a question for her. I was just wondering, like, for private landowners, like, what's the liability look like? Because that seems like, I mean, I know lots of people, they're interested, but I mean, they don't even want to burn piles. And so, it's a liability kind of thing.
Yeah, great question. So I could probably have a whole nother hour conversation on liability, but I'll try to pare it down quickly. So there's a lot of different things happening at the state level with legislation when it comes to prescribed fire liability. Right now, as some of you may know, any nonprofit or non-federal entity that was implementing prescribed fire, we all lost our prescribed fire insurance 2 years ago. So the Watershed Center has still been determined to put fire on the ground despite having insurance to back us, and they trust our risk management decisions. So we go through an entire risk management process for the Watershed Center to ensure that we feel good about the operations that we're doing, right? We have burn plans in place. We're burning with a burn prescription at the right time to meet objectives. We have trained personnel. So there's things, and those same things hold true in a prescribed burn association. So at the end of the day, the landowner is taking on full liability because they're the ones that are getting the benefit of the burn on their property. But we're using risk management to really, help the landowner feel comfortable taking on that liability. So we're still having them write burn plans. We're following burn prescriptions. We're training folks, and we're bringing in qualified people to help them implement those burns. So there's that side of things, but then the legislation that's being passed right now is opening up. They're still figuring out the details of it, but it's opening up a pool of funding that essentially is going to act as an insurance pool for if there's any like civil liability or like houses damaged, because there's also legislation that has support for getting rid of CAL FIRE suppression costs if fire escaped and we needed CAL FIRE support to suppress it. So it's kind of a complicated topic that has a lot of different facets to it. But at the end of the day, I think the main point is that we work with landowners so they understand what the liability is, but that they feel comfortable hosting the burn because of the different things that we have in place during that burn. And the good news is that we're all starting to get prescribed fire insurance again. So the Watershed Center just applied for prescribed fire insurance like this week, and we're waiting to hear back. So then at the end of the day, if anything did happen, it's absolutely that the landowner and whoever's leading the burn would still end up in court, and we'd still be standing by the landowner, even though they're accepting the liability. It'll still come down to actions and decisions made by the burn leader. But so it's a long, it's not an easy topic to just go into quickly, but I'll probably just end there because I could keep talking about it.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other questions or comments for Aaron? Right. Thanks, that was very informative. I really appreciate that. And hopefully we can get more people trained and then implementing the burns in the county. So
hello, this is Dina Magdaleno. I'm a member of the Lower Trinity River Prescribed Burn Association. Blaze, Shannon, and Gina Moon are here also. And we would be very interested in partnering with you on any projects and training and all of that. As with you, it's laying everything out and making sure that the landowners are following prescriptions and getting permits and putting everything in place is what we see as our responsibility and obligation to them. Here, what we're doing now is we're sticking to pre-treatments and putting together maps and prescriptions with people. So, and then ensuring that they get their permits put in order. But we would love to work hand in hand with you in Trinity County. We're in our burn association, we're in Humboldt and Trinity County, from Willow Creek to Cedar Flat is our area. We do get calls from other parts of the county asking about doing prescribed burns. And so referring them to you, it sounds like you're covering the rest of the county at this point, but if we could jointly cover the county, it would be really great.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for speaking up. Passing any contacts like that to us is totally appropriate. We have a list going, and I put our email address in the chat box if you want to shoot us an email and we can get on a call and chat.
Great, thank you.
Dina, have you talked to Lenya Quinn Davidson over at UC Cooperative Extension in Humboldt? Because I'm not sure, she might be able to help. You think, Aaron?
Yeah, I think they've been in contact with Lenya.
We have.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I was just curious before we totally end if Ellen had anything to share about the High and Palm PBA. Not to put you on the spot, you could totally say no, but I just wanted to give you a second if there was anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, and Quaylen has joined me as well now, so we're both here. I would just say that I think the umbrella idea, like you said, is really important for Trinity County, because one of the things we experience in High Palm, which I'm sure a lot of the other towns do, is there's only about 200 people in the whole town. So any sort of grassroots project like this, getting going and then staying going is really challenging in terms of the overall capacity. And I think if we can have that coordination between a bunch of small local PBAs, then collectively we'll have that kind of critical mass to keep everything going. And people can drive to other parts of the county to participate in burns, and we can kind of all collectively keep our momentum going. Whereas I think somewhere like High Palm on its own, in 10 years, I'm not sure where we'd be in that regard. You have anything, Phelan?
I just want to echo that. I think collaboration for the smaller communities in particular is pretty essential, especially when it comes to small burn windows and what we can accomplish in that burn window. Like, a lot of people are trying to burn in that burn window, and our burn window in High Palm might be different than Hayfork. So if we can support Hayfork when they want to burn and they support us when we want to burn, I think that'll help us accomplish a lot more good work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, guys. Really appreciate the information. Yeah, and for those of you in Zoom land, check out Erin's email so you can keep in contact.
And neighborhood ambassadors, if you would like to coordinate a meeting to discuss prescribed burn association with your neighborhood area, let me know and we can work with Erin to make that happen.
Okay. All right, thanks. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is potentially sending comments on the Forest Service wildfire crisis strategy. So I looked at it. I didn't absorb it all. So I don't know, are we ready to actually send comments, or when do they due?
July 6th.
July 6th. Okay. Do we know what we would say?
Has anybody read it all the way through?
I read for 5 pages.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so how about this? How about if Amelia and I try to delve deeper into it and potentially draft a letter for comments and send it out? And let you guys chew it over and let us know if it sounds like something we want to comment on.
So we'll send it out by Wednesday and then we'll have a couple days. We'll have to know by next Wednesday because it's due next 6th.
Okay. That sound okay? All right, okay. All right, so updates on available grants. Anybody have any grants of interest to the group that we might be wanting to apply for?
I have an update from NRCS real quick about the Joint Chiefs funding. So the Joint Chiefs funding, the 2022 proposals are due on August 6th. Taylor is currently working with Forest Service to resubmit last year's proposal that didn't make the cut. And the funding would provide resources to the Forest Service fuels reduction projects and private landowners within a designated boundary of concern. So it's just updating last year's proposal and resubmitting it.
The Sierra Nevada Conservancy also opened up their window for applications for their wildfire prevention grants. The RCD will be pursuing 2 of those, one kind of jointly sort of with the Forest Service to do work on the Pettyjohn project, and then another one with SPI. And so as that gets further along, I can update on what those are, because we'll probably seek a letter of support and stuff from the Fire Safe Council.
So those are all for the North Lake area, right above the dam?
Basically above the dam is kind of the region that's, yeah.
It also includes Rush Creek for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
When are those due?
I would have to look. I think
Okay.
there's another couple months or so, but.
Okay. All right, I don't know of anything else. California Fire Foundation grant period closed last Friday, so if you're thinking of doing that one, that's too late.
Concept proposals are due July 29th.
July
So we
29th.
don't have a timeline yet, but the Trinity County RAC is gonna have its next meeting July 11th, so hopefully we'll know the dollar amount that we have allocated for fiscal year 2021. And we'll begin to lay out a timeline, hopefully, on how to begin that process and how we might change it.
So potentially that would include fuel reduction projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so no more information that we know of on grants. Let's move to the Fire Safe Council Coordinator update. Amelia. You've been
May was
really
busy. July, I did other things. The evacuation maps have been moving forward. So we had our final meeting with the Sheriff's Department and Denise. The brochures are being finalized in their design. Right now, we have the mailing list all finished and they're going to go to the printers. As soon as we're done, we're gonna print the larger zones first. So the zones that have 50 or more homes in them will get mailed out first. And then we're going to do probably the smaller mailings in-house just because of the printing costs associated with it. So those are all being executed. We have 285 zones that are going to that have residents in them, and those are going to be shared out to all the residents in Trinity County. We do have a surplus. We're printing an extra 20% of all the maps to go to the local VFDs for the zones within their boundaries. On top of that, we're going to have the new, so the fire chiefs map books are all getting reprinted with the evacuation boundaries in them. We do anticipate that these boundaries will have some flux to them. They're not going to be hard set boundaries. There may be a zone split over time or some adjustments over time here and there. But this is what we're going to go with for this fire season and really get it out and going. So those are in the works. And they're also programming that into Code Red. And so that's Denise has been trying to get all the final formatting correct. So there's over 500 zones in all of Trinity County. So if you have 285 that have people in them, then you have another 200 and some that don't. And so that gives the buffers so that you can close some zones and not have to close others, give warning zones before you have to evacuate people. So there's quite a lot of zones. What was learned from Butte County is that make them smaller to start because you're probably even going to shrink them smaller than you think you are. We tried to make it that nobody's special enough to get their own zone. There are some that just do due to the nature of the size, right? So like the Eel River Canyon Preserve, it'll actually probably have 3 zones, and the Travis Ranch will have a couple zones that it's in, and that's just how it is. It's just how the landscape got cut up and chopped up and how to divide it across roads and bridges and mountains and rivers and all of that, and trying to make sense of it and make it work with also having a character limit for trying to designate how to describe these zones as well. It's not like sections, township and range. You can't, it's not as easy as following Forest Service. Close this, goodbye. So it's a challenge. So they're working on getting it all squared away on their end into the new dispatch center and getting it ready.
So the mail out, it's based on their physical address, which map they
It's
get.
based on their, yes,
Okay,
wherever their parcel bill goes, for that physical address is where it's being mailed to.
okay.
So renters would not get it.
No. And then that's just gonna be the responsibility of the,
Of the owner.
yeah.
How about What do we do about like concentrations of tourists in the summer, like campgrounds? Did they, I mean, KOA would get one because they've got a PO box, but what about all the concessionaire?
Or Airbnbs
Yeah,
and stuff.
Forest Service campgrounds and stuff
Well,
like
the
that.
owners for the Airbnbs would receive it. It's all going to be, it'll also, I have to figure out how to post it with Eric, because there's too many to just host on our website. So it's
Yeah.
probably gonna have to be hosted in a Google Drive and then linked to our website or something like that. But it will be all accessible publicly once they're finished. They'll be uploaded somehow digitally so that people can get those and so that they can just print them off themselves as well, right? So we'll do the really nice printing the first time. It also tells them when they, so it's a, sorry, I should have brought a draft, but it's an 11 by 17 fold out map. And so then it shows their zone zoomed in. It also encourages them to draw their evacuation route on the map as well. And then on the other side, it has what they should pack in their go bags. It has the color coding, which is the state's model for what colors are evacuated under order, what colors on a map are under warning, and what colors are sheltered in place, and has the definitions for those as well. So those can all be distributed, but if we need, the printing costs are pretty expensive at the moment, so I'm not going to offer to print like a huge bunch for like those individual organizations. We can definitely give them the PDF and they can look at getting them printed themselves for their organizations, and we can even tell them like go use this printer or whatever because they already have the format. But I mean, it's a significant chunk of money to get these all printed and mailed out.
Yeah, I
so
just want, I
can't-
mean, ones like, Ripple Creek cabins, we actually help the landowner in each cabin. There's information about how to evacuate and stuff, so I'm just wondering, how each cabin can have their map or something, saying that,
Yeah, I mean, I think they could just copy it and post it somewhere in their room, and we can encourage them to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the fire department could
Yeah.
distribute some of our extra copies to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as new residents move in, they'll need the extra copies as well, so. And we can see how we can batch more later, but I'm just trying to get through this first bulk round, and then we'll sort it out after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool, great.
So that's been the bulk of June. Chris, Dave, and I next week are gonna go to the wildfire mitigation certification specialist, which is training for home hardening to do evaluations, and I think it covers a little bit of defensive space too, doesn't it? And so this is through WPA, WFA. No, it's not the NFPA certification. I'm also looking at that if I ever have downtime, but that's not very often. So we're gonna go and check this out, and I'm hoping too that we have 2 Grizzly Corps members coming on in September, and I'm hoping that we can send them to this course as well once they're onboarded, so that they can do more of that networking and neighborhood ambassador leading work, and going out and doing these assessments with those groups as well. So we have those 2 big things.
Do you picture that will result in like neighborhood demonstrations, like Carol was talking about at the last meeting, like kind of demonstrating, we talk about these things, we don't really know what it means or what it looks like, so it seems a little daunting and maybe we just don't do it for lack of information. But is that how you picture that would kind of be implemented into something practical?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so you guys go to the training, how does that get translated, into?
I think the way this training plays out is it's kind of like it's sort of like what you're describing is like there's like a classroom portion and then there's like the field portion where you go and look at this stuff, and then potentially as available, then we could like pass that knowledge on, or Grizzly Corps members could go
Right.
to the same training and actively be set up meetings or do it on an individual or
But you wouldn't actually be going around to homeowners providing advice or anything?
No, we would.
At some
You
point,
would?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we would be certified to do that.
So you
And
could
like
do neighborhood by neighborhood kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So the intent would first be to target the neighborhood ambassadors and work with their neighborhoods and their groups, and then expand out from there, but start just with the normal lessons of, 10 to 15 neighbors that want to talk about it and see the good examples and the bad examples, and then if a specific landowner wants recommendations, then we'll expand to that.
I just
when we have
picture
time.
the photo that, is it Aaron showed of the home in Greenville. That's really motivating. And so it would be really nice to build some momentum around that kind of motivation so that we can start protecting ourselves. Because I'm picturing a larger picture too, where, if they start legislating further and further about what we can and cannot build, trying to get homeowners insurance back, if we can start to defend, hey, this is what we're doing to take care of ourselves, it seems like that could go a long way. We have to kind of take our own future into our own hands.
Yeah, I think this is more focused on like the home itself and like some of the immediate yard, and then the PBA is kind of like, the next.
So it's bigger.
Yeah.
So I think, it, not to say that we can't, because I like that and I want to build off of that kind of stuff, but right now we're hamstringed with capacity. So like, yes, taking that story, put it in the Trinity Journal, put it in the Conservation Almanac, put it on social media, get it out there. But I honestly wouldn't be able to even think about that until like October or November.
Sure. No, that's
So
fair.
but those
That's totally
kinds
fair.
of things, whereas like right now, I honestly don't want to be encouraging people to home hardening they can do, but
Mhm.
defensible space, I don't want them
Right,
running
can't do that now.
chainsaws once it's, yeah, so.
So I don't think I meant really immediate, Amelia. I mean more like, what can we do? What would this look like over time?
Well, I think, one option is to apply for that FEMA brick funding, because we talked about being able to have right now the 3 demonstration programs in the state, but if we have our hazard mitigation plan in place, we could apply for the brick funding, and we could actually get a pot of money to start doing home hardening on houses in the county.
I don't think that's even been submitted to Callaway, yes, yeah.
Hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah, have you seen it gone out for public comment?
No.
Yeah, it
We
needs
need
to
to
go
follow
out
up on
to
that.
public comment.
So
And-
who is doing that?
It's now at Mike Catone's
Okay,
hands,
so it was, oh, yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I need to follow up on that because that was the piece of the puzzle we needed in order to apply for that grant program.
We're gonna need it for this fire season, otherwise 3 counties up there. Up creek without bottle.
Okay,
I'm not exactly sure what it is, but you can tell me later.
okay,
Um,
okay. Right, what else? I know you've been really busy.
So our bags, our red bags that were the evacuation preparedness bags, one that was the human version, one that was the pet version. We ordered 1,000 of each to start. The food bank has taken 600 of the human bags. They want 1,000 more, and so we're working on getting that. And so those are going to get out to probably people most in need to have those. So we're super excited about that partnership, and just so happy with Jeffrey England. He's been so great, and he distributes all of our flyers and stuff as he goes around as well. So it's been really lovely to work with him, and now we get to distribute these through him. The pet bags have also gone very quickly. I've got Dina and Regina and Gina. I still have bags for you that need to come down your way. I just haven't gotten there yet, but I have them set aside for you. But I've got the pet bags. They just need to get dropped off at the Trinity County Animal Shelter. They want some. Hayfork VFD is going to take some as well. The Trinity Pet Rescue down in Hayfork is going to take a bunch. And then the Trinity Animal Hospital is going to take some as well.
Are you gonna have any to distribute at the fair?
I'm trying. We're trying to get some ordered to have enough to even hand out at the 4th of July parade, but we'll see. So in the parade, Kelly and 2 other of our fuels crew techs are gonna be in the parade, and we'll have the RCD truck with a chipper on the back, and it's gonna have the Fire Safe Council banners on the side, which I think you might have one. Did I give you one of the Trinity County Fire Safe Council banners? So we ordered 2 originally, and I thought I handed one off to you. Maybe not, I can look through, but I remember talking to you and I thought we put it in your truck. And so then we'll get to have a presence at the Trinity County, at the Weaverville 4th of July, which is the first time that's happened, so super excited. And then, yes, we will be at the fair, and yes, hopefully have those, hope to have them in before 4th of July, and then hope to have them at the fair. If nothing else, so the Fire Safe Council will be with the RCD and the Watershed Center and the Trinity River Restoration Program in the commercial building throughout the fair weekend. So we'll have all our goodies up and the bracelets as well, and all that kind of stuff. So send people in. Okay, to come by and visit.
Nice working on it.
Yeah, really, thank you.
Did I miss anything? Oh, Big Red Truck program's going. I haven't, nobody's turned any sheets yet, so I need to go and encourage them to keep moving on that. Local area advisors got passed again, I believe. Jill, I didn't see it on this week's board agenda. Yeah, they got passed again, so I need to go figure out why that is. They were supposed to be put up 2 board meetings ago, to have those, and
You know what, can you just work with me and I'll agendize it?
I don't know if I can, because they have to be nominated by.
Oh, I
Liz.
thought you were ready to put it.
I turned over everything to the county. And
Who did you turn it to? Do you know?
well, it was first to Ed and then it's to Mike. Everything, it has to come from Liz, I believe. But yeah,
From that department.
yeah, it needs to come from that department, because they're the ones that are officially nominating these individuals to be local area advisors.
So basically check with Liz to see if it's in her hands yet and she'll stick it on the agenda. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Neighborhood ambassadors, they haven't been notified, but everybody who applied is accepted. Good job, Charlie, you're a neighborhood ambassador. And so I'm working with Larry Winters to get those, get an orientation together for both local area advisors and the neighborhood ambassadors. Once the local area advisors are actually appointed, then I can send the list to the Forest Service with all their contacts as well. But until they're officially appointed, like I should be sending them contacts that never get nominated. And so it's kind of a backward system right now.
So Glenn, just to keep you guys in the loop. So we used to have these local area advisors where if you were dealing with an incident in Trinity County, we would have people that had, you know, firefighting experience. They used to be mostly retired Forest Service, and they were offered as a resource then to the incident management team, you know, for, you know, contacting local resources, local geography, local weather patterns, you know, just kind of whatever they could provide, you know, not to, you know, really insert them in a, like, here's what you got to do kind of way, but, you know, here's what I know and here's what I'm offering kind of thing. So they were, the program was established by the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors was kind of like, here's how these people should be interfacing with the incident management teams. And they've kind of over the years, some of them have passed away, you know, and all that. So we're reinvigorating that program, and we're submitting a new slate of names to Board of Supervisors and the boards through the County Office of Emergency Services to the Board of Supervisors, and then it goes essentially presented to whatever incident management team is struggling to figure out Trinity County.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
All right, well, never mind.
I'm trying. I did not get out and do my sits in front of post offices and grocery stores this month, so I'm just gonna try to work it in as I can right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, July is gonna be just as busy. Okay. All right. Anything else for a fire safe council coordinator? No. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do is do project updates. So is it Gregory Dunn? Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's Garrett.
Garrett, okay, so take it away for BLM. What kind of projects are you doing in Trinity County?
You know, I haven't really been in the loop. I've been on assignment and then Rob left for an assignment and I didn't get a lot of information as far as what was currently happening. So I don't want to speak to something that might not be true.
Okay, do you want it, Chris, you know?
I can update some. I'll wait till the RCD one. I had a quick question and I don't know if it's fair to ask you, I guess, but I know we've had some landowners ask about some of the piles that have been made in the Lewiston area. And I was just verifying that the intention was probably to burn them this fall as the windows are available, or I don't know if you could speak to that.
Mostly in the Poker Bar area.
Yeah, I was around Richie Raposa when he received a call from the landowner and he had talked to the individual and yes, the plan would be in the fall or, this winter to get at those piles.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, let's see, does anyone have an update for the High Palm Fire Safe Council? No, okay. How about Lower Trinity Prescribed Burn Association? What are you guys up to?
Hi. The Lower Trinity PBA has been going through the process of finalizing our 501(c)(3) status. And we're waiting on a letter of confirmation from the state, but we got our federal letter of determination, which is great. We've established a pretty rockin' board of directors who are amazing, collectively representing various tribes and agencies. And there's a lot of really wonderful conversations happening. What we're looking at right now is pre-treatment needs for what we have sort of slated for ourselves going forward. We had pre-treated a number of parcels before the winter storm, and all of those parcels have to be revisited. The number of downed fuels has sort of set us back in terms of our willingness to put fire on the ground until we know that we're doing it in a safe way. We did go for and obtain an emergency grant through Humboldt Area Foundation, and those funds have been released to us now. Which is exciting because this means that we can go forward with some of these pre-treatments, some of which we are going to contract out because a lot of our population is a little bit volunteer fatigued and we're trying not to run them into the ground. So it's kind of exciting to finally feel like we'd gotten off to a really aggressive start with the planning and what we had wanted to do, and then to be set back by the winter storm. It feels really good to be in a position where we are actually looking at very soon getting into sort of pre-treatment mode and getting a lot of those fuels down so that we can burn safely. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Thanks, Blaze. So any other updates from Gina or Dina?
I do have something to report about, not with regarding the PBA, but I know you've asked previously about what's going on with Ironside Mountain and the lookout. And what has happened is they put together a plan and had everything together, and it went out to solicitation. And then the hazmat issues came up, and so they're going through that process again, and adding the hazmat component to it. On the summer solstice, the Sonungwe and Chimerico and some other community members went up to the mountain to bless the mountain, and at the top, everything's gone. There's nothing there. except burnt manzanita. And starting to put together a concrete plan of how we can move together is something that the Forest Service is looking at seriously and in the process of putting together the RFP and all of those things that they have their own words for. And so hopefully before the snow comes this winter, we'll be able to at least say that those manzanitas are cleared up and that hopefully the burnt lookout will be cleared up and cleaned up, and the Forest Service is meeting with us regularly now regarding what the plan is for the future, and they're open to ideas. And so if people have ideas in our communities, it's a good idea to talk to them. They're open. They seem very open, and our new ranger seems to be willing to not only talk but work together. So that makes us very hopeful. That's been going on during the month of June.
Dina, thank you very much for that update. I appreciate it. I know that's not your real responsibility, but we just really appreciate that information and your helpfulness.
Sure.
Let's see. So, okay. Anything else for the Lower Trinity PBA? Okay. How about Deborah?
NRCS has one more.
Oh, NRCS.
So Trinity County NRCS had 4 applications selected for funding for the fuels reduction and post-fire restoration projects. So that's very exciting.
For fuel reduction and post-fire, or?
Fuel reduction and post-fire restoration projects is what they said. They had four of their projects selected in the most recent round.
Okay. Okay, so sorry, Deborah, how about Air Quality Management District?
Well, pretty much I've been involved with the Trex training over in Orleans. I anticipate getting more information about the tribal Trex soon. Usually they provide me with documents so I know where they're going to be burning, where I'm focusing on getting Purple Airs up and running in preparation for those burns. There is going to be an all hands, all lands burn the 27th, 28th, and 29th in the Orleans area. I'm gearing up to make sure things are in place to help that along. I have heard rumblings that there might be some broadcast burning in July over in Trinity County, but I'm waiting to hear from folks as windows become available. I'm in preparation for the dreaded wildfire season by contacting all the public health officers and public health departments and OES regarding pre-wildfire information and discussion, so we all know where to go to get the information, how it can be disseminated, how we're going to handle that for the district here for Trinity and Humboldt and Del Norte. Pretty much I worked a lot on some prescribed burns over in Hayfork with Big Creek Ranch. Just taking things as they come as people find windows, and hoping to do a smoke management plan training with the UC Cooperative at the end of July. And so if anybody wants to attend, you can contact Jeff Stackhouse at the UC Cooperative, or Lenya should know. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll be revamping and having an online version of our smoke management plan that would walk people through filling it out, make it easier for those private landowners. So that's pretty much the next 2 weeks. I just got back from Montana and I got to see a tornado. So I'm very grateful for the earthquakes and what goes on over here. So
Yeah, we don't need tornadoes.
No, no.
Okay, thanks, Deb. Let's see, I just noticed, I always try to go in alphabetical order, but a couple things. Let's do California Fire Safe Council. Mike, do you have an update?
Just like to bring up, and it was mentioned earlier in your meeting, the WFAP training up in Dunsmuir next week. Looking forward to that. So again, a little more on that, just to kind of establish what it's about. It augments the existing assessments that are being done by the regulatory folks like CAL FIRE when they go out and do theirs. This is educational entirely. It's not regulatory, and gives the folks who go through the training the opportunity to go out there and make suggestions to homeowners to be able to work with them to, really create an educational component to make their home safe, both on the defensive space and the home hardening elements there. So the program itself, we're going to put on a program there in Dunsmuir, one down in Placer County and one in Kern County this next month. And then I'm a trainer, would be happy to come up and put a training on for you folks if you want to expand on that. And it'd be a great opportunity. I heard mention of the NFPA training. That's a great training as well, but I understand that NFPA is charging about $11,000 to put that training on for fire safe councils. So we'll do it under the RFFC program funding we currently utilize, and again could work with your fire safe council and your folks to expand the number of folks out in the community who can go out and do those assessments. Other than that, next week, next Thursday is our monthly brown bag meeting at noon. Hope to see you there. Amelia has the information on that, and anything. The only other thing I'd bring up, what a great job is being done by the county coordinator in the position up there. You guys are a model. I think the RCD model of having your county coordinator run through your RCD is exceptional practice. I often speak of it to other counties in how to really function well. I see you guys doing a lot of collaborating, a lot of great work in your community, and just kudos to you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Let's see, do we have an update for SAFE? Okay.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't get my mic turned back on. Yeah, we've been out in the field with BLM, Six Rivers, and Shasta Trinity with their projects they're planning to make sure that they're not leaving behind excessive amounts of fuel, which has been a problem up until just recently, that they do hazard tree removal or fuel reduction projects, and then when we visit the site later, we discover there's actually a more critical situation there than there was before the project. So we're working on trying to get some better planning with them. So we've been on several field trips here just recently around that issue. Thank you.
Right, and I think they heard the message, so yeah.
It's all the message.
You saw the message. Yeah. All right, thanks, Larry. I don't see anybody from SPI. Or Southern Trinity or Tehama Glen Fire Safe Council. There's nothing new for Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department.
And Julie's looking up.
And we'll give her a break. How about, is Jerry still on for a collaborative update?
No, he dropped off.
Collaborative update.
Okay, so this is Pat Frost. So last Friday, we had a field trip with Shasta Trinity, a combination of the Weaverville Ranger District and the NRA. We looked at two projects in the North Lake area, one called the Camps Project, which is a campground fuels reduction, and hopefully might result in some merchantable timber kind of coming out of the campgrounds to make them safer. And then we looked at the project that's being done as a third-party NEPA with the Watershed Center, which is the Bowerman Ridge shaded fuel or fuel break project. And I think it was a good field trip. We got to see some different kind of aspects of project development. And I think it early enough on that the collaborative will be able to have, some influence on the actual prescription designs. So I think, and then our next full collaborative meeting is the third Friday in
15th.
July, 15th of July, which happens to coincide with the county fair.
Okay. Do you have any updates for the Board of Supervisors?
I don't think I can.
Okay. Let's see, how about the RCD? What are you guys up to?
I can start off for at least the Forest Health program. So we've been active working on BLM land, primarily in the Lewiston area. We've probably done like 12 acres in various points along Rush Creek Road and at the Goose Ranch Road and Lewiston Road. And so they're kind of closing in the end of that, and that's funded by the BLM, and it's on BLM land, and that's cutting and piling and a bit of mastication. And then, as we just heard earlier, those piles will be hopefully dealt with in the fall and winter as the weather permits. We also had a pretty exerted effort with all 4 of our crews. We had like 16 guys out in the Junction City Park area, which has just been an issue for a while. And so they spent a lot of time out there and got around 15 acres or so completed. And that was prior to their big kind of music event that they recently had. So we wanted to kind of expedite some of that treatment as people were going to be out and about out there. It's already drying up and everything. So we'll probably be back out there in the future as things go. We also we put another 3 RCD employees through the full 32 red card training class. So we have 3 more RCD employees who are red carded, and thank you to the Watershed Center for putting that on at no cost to us, except for time and stuff. We finalized, we have a fully executed agreement with Humboldt County to do some winter storm cleanup. And that's going to be kind of a joint effort, with us being the lead and then subcontracting with the Watershed Center to do defensible space for folks who need it, as well as just roadside clearing, and then just area kind of providing community chipping, which we've already spent weeks down there, but the storm was bad, so they need more, and we're gonna do everything we can to get that going relatively soon. And then we've kind of shifted our efforts mostly to large area treatment on BLM through our CAL FIRE Forest Health grant. And so they're out in the Reading Indian Creek area, and we'll be out there for the foreseeable future, at least for the next few weeks or so. And that's kind of what we've been up to for the most part.
Okay, any questions for Chris? No.
Do you have any more?
You can go. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Just to follow up with regard to the Willow Creek storm recovery project, we are also working directly with Humboldt County RCD to formalize an MOU that will allow us to work outside of our jurisdiction, and I've now spoken with representatives of LAFCO. Colette is both the rep for Trinity as well as for Humboldt. And so I sat down with them this morning, me and my counterpart, Joe Demers from Humboldt County RCD, and verified that that we are within our powers to coordinate and collaborate with them with regard to that project and other projects that we have been having, where we're getting requested to do work outside of our standard jurisdiction. So so that's it was a strong positive. We crafted the remainder of our MOU that we had drafted, and we're going to be taking that to our boards this next month. So just to officiate our ability to work on the Humboldt side of things. Liz, you have a question?
Yeah, just a general woohoo. That's wonderful. That makes me very happy. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. We, The North Coast RCD Collaborative has been working towards these sorts of collaborations for now probably 5+ years, and this is going to be one of the first real kind of cross-boundary, efforts where we're actually, utilizing each other's resources and working, in a more coordinated fashion, to provide additional capacity to our partners and our neighbors. So, yeah.
And just as a member of the community here in this place, this houses everyone who I love. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about it.
So any word from the Forest Service grants and agreements on the RAC funding for shipping? And I know, stop laughing.
So we did receive a request for some of our final documentation for the Chipping and Guy Covington project. So they're moving through GNA at this point. And we heard today that they're trying to ramrod some of the more higher priority ones for us. I know that they've already executed some for the Watershed Center, but those had a little bit more lead time. So we were actually hoping to get one of the Trinity River cleanup
It's supposed to come in
executed today, and then next week we will summer day camp.
And there was one for just general community chipping, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So you're still waiting on that one?
That's, they asked for our NICRA, which is usually the last thing that they ask for before, while they're gathering the final documentation.
So it's not specifically that, because I mean, I think I said last month that there's definitely some chipping we didn't get to. And so we're waiting on other funding that we have the agreement and stuff in hand. We're just waiting on basically payment from the grantor, and they're being slow. So, but so the RAC funding's not, for chipping is not holding that up. It is holding up that kind of thing, but.
Okay.
But they're moving.
I thought about that when we had the smoke check for Long Canyon the day before last. I was like, it better not be Covington. So, because the report was someone from Bowerman Boat Ramp looking up into Long Canyon, seeing a plume. So had no idea where the plume was. So anyway.
Still though.
Still don't know where the plume is. Yeah, that was a UTO. Okay.
The vegetation management ordinance, so we have had one meeting with the sheriff's department on their vegetation management ordinance. We have done some research and collected all of the vegetation or fire management or ordinances for our surrounding counties, and have also sent those on to the sheriff's department. So we need to do a follow-up meeting so that we can either start enforcing our vegetation management order, not we as in them, sheriff's department, but because the amount of absentee landowners in Trinity County that are neglecting their lands is ridiculous, and the local neighbors can't be responsible for treating their neighbor's property that's just not being taken care of. And so we've had this ordinance in place and it's never been utilized. Code enforcement sounds game. And so we just need to either figure out how to strengthen the language so that the county's comfortable and can enforce it, or get going.
Yep. For sure. Okay, Dave, how about an update on the PUD?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just kidding. Hey, yeah, we are busy as I've ever been. We have about 8 contract tree crews currently taking hazard trees out system-wide. Little Browns Creek's a focus right now. A little bit in Hayfork. Lewiston and DC also have crews on them. We just completed about 1,000 poles that we clear at the base of with subject equipment on them. So we'll probably have to hit most of them again this season because of the late rain. CDF inmate crews have completed the work along Lewiston Lake under our right-of-way. looks great. Their Forest Service is going to be burning that this fall. And we're doing a little collaboration with the watershed out Deer Lick Springs. They've got some chipping and fuels reduction along the road there. So we're going to partner with them under the right of way. Yeah, we're changing field equipment to non-expulsion fuses. That's kind of a 3-year process, but we're about on schedule with that. And yeah, all our breakers are set to fire settings, which mean they're on a non-reclose. If there is a fault on the system, they don't reclose back in. So that should help tremendously. And all of our vehicles and crews have all the proper fire tools and water at their work sites. So that's about the gist of it. Did do a drone flight over your place, Carol, that you were asking about that tree. Yeah, there's a few more in there too. So that's going to look like fall. Those just died. We're good to go with those. So I don't see them being a hazard for a bit.
Yeah, Pat and I are going to take out a couple that are a little bit further away from the power line that we feel reasonably comfortable with. But
Right.
yeah, that big one within 50 feet, yeah, it just died. So
Yeah, we'll get to it. I mean, we have, as everybody knows, driving around this county, there's a pretty unprecedented dieback of fir, and just to be added onto the pine problem we already had. So
okay, yeah, and that one's on Forest Service property anyway. It's
yeah,
not.
correct.
Do you have an update on the RAP project, Dave?
Our RAP project EIS is still in draft mode. There's, you have to wait for public comment to be closed, and a few of the federal agencies are quite slow on that. So we have hopefully by the end of the year have a completed EIS for that RAP project, and then of course whatever legislation may happen prior to anything happening with that. So
is public comment open now?
I believe it was has been for quite some time.
Huh.
You mean the draft has been released? Because that's news to me if it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about that.
Well, let me check into that. I don't that's kind of not my bag. I'm more of the operations stuff. But from what I heard, they're still waiting for maybe not public comment from interagency, the biologists, archaeologists, those type of things. So I believe it's not public comment. I apologize for that.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for all your hard work.
All right. Blaze, thanks for the woohoo. You woke Charlie up.
All right, let's see. Dina, did you have anything else for the Sonoma? No, I guess not. Okay, all right, you guys, it's your turn. Shasta Trinity.
Yeah, Tim Ritchie had some leave and he's left me a bunch of notes here, and so if I can't answer something, I bet Keith can probably fill in her notes, because some of this stuff, it pertains to my unit, and of course Keith is on the South Park Management unit, even though we both work for the same ranger. And so, but anyways, the first thing I don't know how much people will pay attention to news. All my firefighters paid attention to this news. It was huge for us. But this past fall, the president signed a bill with direction to the land management agencies to put us in a new job series title and increase, it's not our pay, but get us more closer towards our cooperators. And it was announced was it Friday? Friday that, that just what that looks like. And so we're gonna get back pay from October 1st and continue on, and just all who that affects. And it's all what we call 6C, or people who are on firefighter retirement. And is it 465 the series is, Wildland Fire Series, we're all putting in?
Caps up.
It's a huge thing, whether you guys realize that or not. We've been bleeding employees massively, and this is gonna probably put a stop to it, and a lot of people finally have a grin on their face for the first time.
It's very,
Because-
very well deserved, truly,
So-
very well deserved.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing for us. All right, so let's get deep into the other meat of the stuff here. I'm just gonna read off Tim's notes here, because you know, he deals with the fuel side, and I end up dealing with more with the fire side, and he'll come in and talk to me. Now, before I forget, I probably ought to mention the fuels planner. We outreached and we interviewed and turned in some names for selection for the fuels planner position behind Laura, and we might fill it off the same one for the South Fork management unit. So we might fill both positions, and that's already been turned in. So hopefully job offers will be out at least to the one job, and then maybe fill it up the one on the South Fork management unit. And hopefully maybe this next week we'll hear on for sure on that, and whether they've accepted the position. But that's another huge help for us. Okay, the WCF phase 1 fuels contract is completed. As 373 acres of thinning. Approximately 80 acres of this was burned this last winter. And you know, there's some people come in and complained about the mortality of some of the trees on that. We've been out and took a look at that, and the reality is we've had the mortality is very limited. And we have a lot of green shoots on those trees, and they're doing just fine. Trinity Dam Boulevard, Lewiston Lake, I think some of this I might be repeating it. FMZ, we're planning 166 acres. Expect implementation to begin in early July. And that goes from the bridge in Lewiston to Trinity Dam. River Complex, hazard trees along Boulder Creek Road. Expect the salvage cell to go through in the next month. FS employees will be out daylighting the corners coming off the highway in the next week. Matter of fact, I know that there's a bunch of people out on Saturday. We've been trying to get out to it, do that. But we rely on a lot on firefighters, but we don't have a lot of those. right
So
now.
Glenn, do you know, so is any of that along the trail,
The,
the Boulder Lake Trail?
no,
Okay, it's just along the road?
yep,
Okay,
daylight in the road. So because of the logging in there, so that they'll be able to see around corners and whatnot.
okay.
We're starting layout on next phase of Petty John fuel breaks, utilizing CCI funding for plantation, mastication, with the WRTC, approximately 60 acres. Doug fir mortality spreading close to Trinity Hall Base and the inmate camp. So, you know, if we go up there, if you've been up there, it just like somebody else alluded, there's a lot of Doug fir drying, a lot of trees in particular everywhere, it seems like. Tim and I have been discussing this since I've been here, just every year, the march keeps on going. Total size of this fuel break is 450 acres, exploring possibilities for creating fuel wood decks along roadside for permitted gathering. Let me see.
For firewood?
Yeah. Total, let's see. This will be a multi-phase project. Total fuels acres treated is 1,800 acres. Brown's phase 3 timber harvest is underway in tractor ground units. Expect fuel wood deck to be available once the contract is completed. Okay, NEPA, WCF phase 2 east of Weaver Creek. Field work is ongoing with an expected decision this fall and winter. We're waiting on ARC and archaeologists and botany to do their stuff. And
and we'll be pretty close to done with that. Bowerman Cooperative Fuel Breaks, continuing to work with WRTC to finalize treatment acres and types to get the scoping letter out in summer with hope for a decision to be the end of the year. Carville Fuels scoping scoping completed. Expect to implement in early fall. Only 11 acres around those homes, and I know it's kind of a big deal, especially those homeowners, because we realize that they could be losing their insurance if that's not completed, and that's on the Rangers urgency to get that taken care of. Regional hazard tree assessment will allow for regional hazard tree EA will allow for treatments along linear features and will align with some of the disaster funding for 2021 fires to treat roadside hazards. Expected decisions this fiscal year. So, fiscal year being October 1st. So agreements, RAC agreements and domestic grants are slowly being processed. No definitive timelines at last ask of grants and agreement staff. Brown's Phase 3 agreements with TCRCD is on hold as there is potential for timber harvest on the cable units that is being explored. We've got some issues on the TRMU. We're hoping that maybe you could help us out with. We're getting a lot of dumping of wood debris from homeowners, potentially tree services companies, dumping chip material on National Forest System lands. And I'm sure you probably heard that down on the Six Rivers, there was Caltrans piles. One had spontaneous combustion. Now, obviously, the stuff that we're getting from people we're pretty sure it's tree service, is not going to spontaneous, but still, it's against the law to just go dump on federal land. And I'm hoping that people will tell.
So Glenn, so tree services, most of the tree service work is Dave still on? Delang?
Yep.
Most of that is PUD workers or crews, I would think.
Yeah, do you have any kind of criteria for what they have to do with the material they've chipped?
We're talking about private contractors.
Right, yeah, but
these private contractors, but they typically, I know we've had a couple spots where they've dumped in areas that they thought were, they see a Caltrans pile or a county pile, they say, oh, they've dumped in those. But no, they've been talked to about, typically homeowners want those chips and there's kind of a market for them. Not a market, but there is safe dump sites that they have that customers or homeowners want the chips. We're talking just barely outside of town out here on, what's that called, Musser? What's the name of that road, Chris?
Roundy washed out bit. There's some stuff with a bunch of.
Constantly,
there's a bunch of Musser.
It's just what, big piles of chips?
Just piles of chips dumped.
Yeah.
Wow.
The same thing near the bridge
On Guy Covington.
That's the one I'm thinking of, is the Guy Covington one.
Yeah, there's a few piles at Guy Covington this year, but not like last year. So, yeah. So, but if you can help get the word out to any private contractors you have, that they need to not be dumping chips on Forest Service or public lands because of the potential,
We're sending out letters of warning to all of them. And if we catch them, they'll be fined fairly heavily, quite honestly.
I haven't gone down to the wetlands lately, but it did grow in the last year, and
Yeah.
there's no dumping allowed there because of the easement.
We're noticing it within the last week. The last week? Well, that's interesting. I will reach out. I don't.
There are other tree services.
Yeah, we're not the only. We don't know who it is, but ones that we know about, we're gonna send out and.
Put a trail camera up.
Easier said than done. I don't have a giant stack of them, believe me. We don't have any. Let's see. Sandy, my prevention,
I was giving you these out. I wanted to remind everybody that this time of year, we're still not in a restriction of like no campfires. So we're sending up to people, cool down your coals. You can still have campfires, you know, on national forest land, which brings me to another thing. Kind of important, the last couple of years, there's been people, members of the community have been going out and telling people on national forest land that they cannot have campfires when it was still okay to have campfires, and probably not a good idea. And the reason I know that they were doing it is because they did it to one of my prevention people who was on their own time, and the person didn't realize who they were talking to. So I'll leave it at that.
So there are areas though where you can't, like.
We're not in any fire restrictions at all right now.
But the Stewart Fork drainage, right, that's a.
We're not in any
permanent-
fire restrictions right
But
now.
that's a permanent year round, that one section of the Alps, right? There's one section of the Alps year round where you can't have dispersed campgrounds, campfires.
But I thought it was in the Alps where they don't want you harvesting the wood, but that's different.
Yeah.
That's because there's no wood and
There is.
it's a protection.
As it stands right now on national forest systems, on the Shasta Trinity National Forest, there are no fire restrictions.
Right, I understand that, but there is that one geographic area where that doesn't apply.
Right
But the
around
rest-
the Stewart's Fork cabin.
No, up the Stewart's Fork Trail, like Amelia says, when you get up into the Alps, that's a year-round prohibition, but yeah, so we, yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen that this year though. I mean, there's usually an order associated
Right.
with that.
So like the last one, last year's wasn't even, done. You know, a lot of times the forest does that. Last year's was not a lot of, the last couple of years, you can correct me, Keith, if I'm wrong, but it actually was due to like more, there was COVID and they didn't want to have any, but we're out of that realm, and the region set those, not the forest. The forest hasn't done it. We have not received any restrictions at this time at all.
Yeah, there's just this, the regional order is just the standard order that's like, you know, fireworks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually,
But
they
there-
have it in effect through 2025.
But there's still stuff like, you know, you can't have campfires outside in the campgrounds. You can't have campfires outside of the designated camping areas, the campfire ring. Like you can't have the bonfires along the edge
Yeah, you
unless they're within 10 feet
The lake?
of the lake.
So I don't think none of that's in effect right now. That's when they put the limitations.
And if you're not a federal employee, you shouldn't be going and telling people they're that. Great. That's stuff, you know, my own prevention guys go and deal with that, and generally speaking, we allow law enforcement to deal with that. So.
Because right now you could go just first camp and have a campfire.
Absolutely.
But we had the fire at Hayward Flat a couple weeks ago. And that was a fire outside of a designated camp site fire. It was along the edge of the lake, but more than 10 feet away. And your guys were there and they were gonna find the people that had the fire. So
I don't know.
Hayward
Don't-
Flat,
Yeah. This is the first I'm hearing of it,
okay, well, anyway.
and I doubt we could have given them a fine, very much so, or they would have. Believe me.
Okay.
Let's see, I was on a call the other day, about Ironside Lookout. You know, as you guys know, it's burned up and about. It was about replacing the lookout and the footprint of that and putting a alert wildfire camera. So our plans is to on top of that, or right within that footprint, the Ironside Lookout is to put an alert wildfire camera system on that lookout, which will be an added bonus. So we'll still have a person within that lookout, because you can't just rely on tech all the time, and we're not there where there's persons sitting in front of a computer yet. But that like the fire that was yesterday, Trinity Pines, you probably didn't know, you get on a wildfire alert camera. Jim did while I was driving while I was driving to the fire, get to Hayfork. Yeah, the fire looks like it's laying down. It's good information, so that's gonna be good. And yeah, that's if that happens, and I strongly think that it will happen with getting that wildfire alert camera on that structure. Now, having that put up there this year, building it and whatnot, I would be surprised, but we're trying to move on that very quickly. I know the ranger met with the some tribal people, and they got some stuff ironed out, and so they're gonna go forward with that, which is a great for the community. Chris just did some fuel sampling. I should point out, we're still in, right as it stands, in low fire danger. And talking with Tim, as we cook those out, the fuel sampling, other than your grass models, things are still pulling moisture. The brush are still, not gonna really burn right now at this time. So at this time, we're still looking pretty good. The other thing, I guess I've ordered a Type 6 engine that'll be coming in the 28th. They're coming from, what forest is that, Region 6? Anyways, Colville National Forest. They'll be here the 28th, and I plan on having them stationed out of Mule Creek for a couple of weeks. So cool. That's a lot.
Thank you.
I don't take it away, Keith.
Can I have the written list?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got most of it.
So yeah, on the South Fork, we've was mentioned, we lost our fuels planner a couple of years ago, just before COVID. So I just been kind of filling in, listening to where we are with our planning. We have 3 big projects, but as far as I know, they're not, I don't know where they really are, but it's not in play yet. But I have one project coming up as soon as the G&A gets to it. And that's the South Fuel Break Fuel Management Zone. It's a maintenance with the watershed. So I like to get back out there. It was RAC funded, so it's going to be equipment mostly being used, and so as we know, equipment goes pretty quick cost. So we'll see what we can, but it does need to be maintenance and to help. It's just the fuel breaks on the south side of Hayfork, right on a pretty good ridge. So I'm hoping to get that going at some point soon, but with this weather, I doubt we'll be masticating anytime soon. So it'll probably be more of a fall thing. But anyways, that, and our one big project that we were doing, because it was going to be a big landscape burn, the McFarland fire did that for us, but in a bad way. So that's not going to happen. So that was really my big project going on. So now it's the McFarland forest recovery or something other that's being worked in. So we'll see where that goes. It's not really all we got other than burning. We did a lot of pile burning, maybe about 500 acres, just off the top of my head, pile burning, which is pretty good because we had some narrow windows there. And we still burned. And we did go out a little bit of prescription, nothing bad. I'm just saying the fire just dropped. Stuff like that. Nothing got away. So that's good. We still have silviculture is going to make another 500 piles in a site prep, and I still have about 900 acres of piles to burn. A lot of it's in Iron Palm, and also just to the west of Haywood, up on Plummer Peak area. Still got a lot of piles to burn. I don't think I'll ever get to them.
So I'm going to ask. So Deborah had mentioned that she was hearing that there might be some burning in July.
I heard that.
I mean,
Yeah, that surprised me.
Who's doing that? The last time that was done was on
It's
July
not-
3rd, 1999.
Right.
No, it's not us.
No, I'm sure you know that the Forest Services were, shut down entirely, which is in many ways it's sad because whether you realize it or not, some, in many parts of the country, you know, are extremely wet, and probably could be doing some burning. I wanted to take it back, whether you guys realize it or not, there, because we're, you know, a US Forest Service, just not the Forest Service of Trinity County. We have lots of opportunities to go in other places. This year, we held back our employees from going to other places to burn piles and do fuels treatment here in the county. We did that on purpose. And we were extremely successful and got, this is one of the better years since I've been here at treating acres. And I know that this fall or this winter, as we come into, if we get some good moisture to burn, you know, we're planning on bringing in a lot of people to help us out with that, you know, to get a lot of this acres done. So Forest Service is a large agency and it's a huge moving machine. And there's lots of stuff going on everywhere. So
I have a couple questions for you guys. So Deborah, just to follow up, do you know where you've had the information that someone might be doing burning in July?
I just was thinking, I did have some proposed projects by the Watershed Research Training Center, but I'm assuming that the window is passed because of the moisture that came through not too long ago. And I've been thinking about it since you talked about it. I think that other unit may be over here in Humboldt County instead of over in Trinity. But, you know, I'm always keeping my ear to the ground so I can backfill, you know, stuff to get ahead of the game so I don't slow anybody down. But I think that, excuse me, that one project I referenced is in Humboldt and not Trinity.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. And then.
And yeah, just the Watershed Center, as far as I know, the fire program has no plans to burn in July.
Okay. That clears that up. And then I had a question. So we hiked Swift Creek a couple weeks ago, that trail, and there's all the big, huge piles of not brush, but you know, the dead trees chunks. Are they?
I mean, round, you know, 24-inch
They just
driving around.
cut up
and
the trees
piles 6
and-
feet high with plastic on them.
in the wilderness area? I mean, would that be something that is a plan to burn kind of thing?
I don't believe so. I have not heard of anything like that, to be honest with you. And, you know, our recreation people are the ones who usually tell us about stuff like that. And I know the Packers are out busy right now with their trails crews going like crazy. So honestly, that's the first I heard of it. I highly doubt it though.
I think Tim was working on that. They were trying to figure out if there was any way to get fair funding to treat some of the stuff from the river complex.
This isn't in the river complex. The
Yeah.
first mile of Swift Creek Trail.
So is it outside the wilderness then?
No, it's
Outside and
it's-
inside.
You know, the first couple hundred feet of the trail are outside the wilderness, but then you cross the boundary and then it's just like funeral pyres, these big, huge chunks, 6 feet high with plastic over the top.
Seems like if the plastic there.
That's why, yeah, we can't figure it out. Okay, just curious.
Well,
All right, so,
Mike McFadden told me over a beer, he told me what happened.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was just.
Maybe some crew from Alaska. or something.
Alaska, yeah.
Okay, let's see. So we don't have anything else for any questions?
I had
for-
another question for Keith. What, why couldn't they do that, start the mastication right now on
But it's just the agreement hasn't gone through the chief.
oh, so it probably won't go.
It's a rack agreement. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
a top priority.
That'll be later.
Any other questions for Shasta Trinity? No?
I have a request. This is Deb from Air Quality. Hey, Keith, can you wave at the camera? I've never seen your face.
Oh,
He's not even on.
we don't want to break the camera.
He's hiding. All right.
I know, I don't blame him. I hide too, but it would be nice to put a face to a voice after all these years.
Well,
Lean in there.
Well, thank you.
Okay, all right, so I think last but not least, last and best, how about the Watershed Center? What do you guys got going on? Oh, Willow Creek, oh, sorry. Sorry, Regina. Watershed Center, and then we'll finish with the last and best, Willow Creek.
Okay, so with the Watershed Center, we just finished a burn 3 weeks ago in Hayfork. Was, you know, successful, bringing VFDs together, different partners around the county. And in the bigger picture, we're looking at doing a burn on Jackass Ridge if all the stars align this coming fall.
Which is Wheat Basin.
Yeah, we were based in Jackass Ridge, and we're looking to reach out to VFDs all over the county that have people that are working on task books, qualifications, trying to expand their experience and just have more cross-pollination between departments. And that could be a great opportunity as kind of in the center of Trinity County. So folks from North County, Central County, South County, if there are people that want to be involved in a collaborative burn, potentially a cross-boundary burn too with National Forest, please reach out to us and give us your info, and we'll do our best to include you in all the info as that burn's coming up.
Will you be bringing this to the Chiefs Association this summer?
We will. Ellen and I are going to be on vacation for the next 2 months, but probably the first of our meeting at the beginning of September, we'll bring this up at the Chiefs Association as well.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Any other Watershed Center projects besides burning?
I was just going to add that a lot of the projects we've been working on have been more or less covered in other folks' reports, but I guess looking forward, we're kind of looking at opportunities for new third-party NEPA projects on the Shasta, Trinity, and Six Rivers also. So we'll be looking into that this summer for new things that we could pick up. But also wanted to give an opportunity for questions if anybody has those for anything we're working on. I'll try to answer them.
So could you tell me again the tentative schedule for the Bowerman Ridge project, when you think stuff's going to be coming out?
The specialists are still, they're about wrapped up with sensitive resource surveys. We're gonna start to drill down on specific prescriptions in silt prescriptions and fuels treatments in a lot of units. I think the schedule for scoping is going to be in the next month or two. And again, our target date for getting a decision is going to be hopefully by December, but if anything funky happens, it might be early next year for that. And that's the timeline as I understand it. Next steps and layout after that, I'm not sure about yet.
So I don't know if there's funding yet. Well, I know there's no funding, but Tara talked about kind of a fuel break along Highway 3. And it seems like that would be a good third-party NEPA thing if we could find the funding for that. And I don't know, a lot of it's SPI because it's the checkerboard. So could that be incorporated into the joint chiefs? Okay, joint chiefs? Well, so could a Highway 3 fuel break be part of joint chiefs since it's checkerboarded with the Forest Service and SPI?
It could be if they wanted it to.
Okay.
I mean, now would be the time to bring that up, but we're not really taking that on. It sounds like Aaron with the NRCS and I saw an email and it sounds like Kristen Lark is also was on sort of taking on spearheading that again because they have a lot to gain.
Could it be part of that FEMA project?
No, the FEMA one has to be on private lands.
Okay.
So that was why I was saying like it, when we were talking about that on the field trip, you know, what they're doing as part of the Bowerman, that's in the northern portion of it, ties in with what we were proposing from FEMA funding, but that's all, that whole stretch is basically all SPI.
Right.
And then what they were talking about was the potential of having it down below, which I don't think is checkerboarded as much. It's more, so there's a lot of Forest Service along the highway on that stretch from basically Covington Mill down to Stewart's Fork.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's mostly Forest Service,
Right,
yeah.
that's the part that they would want to, we would want to potentially connect the dots on.
Okay. Gotta find money. Okay, do we have anybody that I missed in terms of project updates? Willow Creek. Oh, I'm so sorry, Regina. It's a long.
Hello, last but not least, Gina Moon here. I'm currently the president of the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council. We have a little bit of everything going on. The usual fundraising that's being nonprofit, that's kind of how it goes. It's behind the scenes, things you don't know about, and that you know, in the past we pulled off a dinner in the spring. We have one planned in the fall. We did the Firewise Day, but that isn't really a fundraiser. We did come ahead a little bit, but that mostly education, which just like every other event we're getting involved with. Our next big event coming up will be Bigfoot Days in Willow Creek. They changed it from Labor Day to avoid fire camp there to July 9th, which is coming up soon. So we'll be active with that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, and so that's one aspect of the Fire Safe Council's objectives. Our biggest thing we have is our chipper program. We have an excellent chipper that was grant funded. It's all volunteer. Some of our obstacles we have is always coordinating a driver, coming up with the volunteer people to come out there and pull the brush. There's a lot of coordination. Blaze was involved this last spring and we stayed busy. It's people have got busy here with graduation and different things going on, and it's hard to coordinate and make that happen, but it is, and we'll continue. So there's that. And then one of our bigger things, we were fortunate enough to the storm damage, it was a mess, but Cal Fire threw some money at us, and we actually have a job announcement going out right now. It's to do with the storm recovery. It was publicized in the Trinity Journal, Lost Coast, and we're trying to share it. So I'll try to put that in the chat, and that is, you know, we're seeking a project coordinator. So that will be somebody to help coordinate some of the extra storm damage that is down, along with some existing fuel reductions that have been needed. It's been a mess for a long time, even prior to the storm damage, but now it's really a mess. And even though there's many different people that have come through, the county roads doing their part, the PG&E had people clear to get in. I live on the South Fork County Road down here, and I see kind of day in and day out how some of the stuff has been rearranged, if you will. Some of it's been removed by the firewood getters, thank goodness. There's a ton of it, and the majority of it is tan oak. But so there's that going on. And I know that the bulk of that money was divvied out with Trinity County. It was mentioned that the RCD is going to be applying some time and effort to mitigate some of our fuel loading down here, which is great. Thank you. Woo, like Blaze said, we need it. We need help. There's a lot going on. There's plenty of work for everyone to do. And within that, it's ongoing. There's just so much. Our jurisdiction for the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council, as you all may know, Cedar Flat, all the way west on 299 to the Redwood Valley and all of the greater Willow Creek area, Salyer, Hawkins Bar, and South Fork County Road, which is a whole nother world in itself, which, so that takes in 2 counties, 2 national forests, and I think there's a division of the highway break there too. So when it comes time to planning any of these projects, maybe they can only work in Humboldt County. Maybe they can only work, over in Trinity. So we're always up against those little logistical things, but it's doable once we figure it all out. And working with the Humboldt County, Sabella Emmett has been wonderful. We have some of that going on. We're looking forward to some new projects mixed in with this. The Flash program is going to come back. That's only in Humboldt County. And then the Good Neighbor agreement with the Forest Service. Nolan Colgrove, the district ranger, he's talking about bringing that back. So that's something else we have to look forward to help us mitigate some of our fuel overloading. There's great groups, the PBA that I'm involved with. I'm ecstatic that group, and listening to Erin, her presentation at the beginning, that's inspiring. That was really fun to hear that we are on the right track with that PBA. So back to the Fire Safe Council, there is just a lot to be done, lack of volunteers, there's so much kind of going on. And then within our area is, on the South Fork, the RCD forgot to mention the project work that's being done down here. That was grant monies that was identified a few years back for the South Fork County Road. They're out here. It started back on June 6th and 7th. They left for fire training. They showed back up on the 20th. They're out there right now at mile marker 6.8 and then cleared around their camping site. And then they're starting at the 7.9 and working their way back down the county road. If they ran out of money, please identify coming up from the bottom. Let's get the South Fork Road is one way in and out for the majority of the road. It's high use. We have a problem down here, and not just on South Fork, but it's inviting to go onto the South Fork River when the Trinity is still high. I live here, I see this, and for years it's an ongoing thing. The fuel loading has been phenomenal, but the storm damage, I cannot reiterate how bad that we were annihilated. And it's there, the horizontal fuels, you look across, I'm at 1,300 feet elevation. I look across the river and see Humboldt County, it's everywhere. It's a mess, but there's different ways people are able to, if you can't burn, we don't have a green waste anymore. We're trying to bring the curtain burner back, which people like that. They were able to drag brush down there one way or another and offload it there by that curtain burner, and it was handled. That is something we need to get back to our area. It's just another way to reduce this fuel loading for people who live in populated residential areas. Look at our subdivision. It's people stacked on top of each other, side hill, the leaf litter. We haven't burned yet. That knob fire came pretty darn close, and the monument was on our other side of the backyard. I've never been in an order before, and my plan is to shelter in place, but not everybody has that concept. Not everybody can. So we really need to continue educating, finding ways to reduce our fuel loading. And I appreciate the RCD and the watershed. And being a Trinity County resident, what Humboldt County has to offer us, this is amazing. So if we can all just coordinate, collaborate together, and don't forget about us, we definitely want to be in the game and, living in California's Northwest, living with fire in California's Northwest is a real thing, and it's year round. It isn't just, with the exclusion of fire has been detrimental. Not everybody even burns in their wood stoves anymore, let alone a little pile or a project burn out on the hillside. So it's the educating our people. We've got a lot of new people in our area. Not everybody understands. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we interconnect with Trinity County and the Humboldt County Fire Safe Council, and just getting that information out there to educate people so they can help themselves. those repeaters up on Ironside, that's good to hear. And I wonder, is that going to be like a 360? So it also sees the Six Rivers, because that's the view from up there. And there's just a lot of potential to make sure that we can be as safe as we can for any season, surviving the elements. And I don't know if I've missed anything. I think I've rambled. So if there is any questions or otherwise, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks. You guys are doing great work down there. Hang in there. Anybody have any questions for Gina? No? Okay. All right. Now did I forget anybody? No. Okay. All right. So our next meeting is July 28th. I hope we can get together. I hope we don't have fires that are pulling people away. And so I hope to see you end of July 28th at 1 o'clock, and meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And sorry, guys, for not cooling the room down earlier, because the thing is just such a bear
really
and so
loud.
loud that it's not good. So our apologies for not having that together earlier.
Well, it's just
Sorry.
right.